Oftentimes we need to access Linux remotely and we need to run applications that require some sort of graphical interface for whatever reason, but we're working on a remote system that could be a server, an embedded computer, or just a computer that we are not in front of, like our grandmother's computer, for instance. In these cases, you need a remote desktop solution, of which I'm going to show a couple, so you can do, like in my case, run two different calculators, one on the remote machine and one on the local machine. Let me show you how I did that. So the most basic form of remote access in Linux is just plain SSH, which is not remote desktop access, please mind. This is just remote access. So I have my shell here, and whenever I SSH into another server or another computer, I'm just going to get the same shell there, or actually the default shell for my user there. The reason I had to put nothing here is that I have the same username on both servers, and I have a private key, a secret key installed in this original client machine that was recognized and accepted by the host, so that's the simplest thing. However, there is one more thing that SSH is capable of doing. I guess this is pretty basic to most of you guys, and that is called port forwarding. We can actually tell SSH that on the client side, where the connection is originated, reserve a certain port, and whatever goes in there, send it to the server and pop it up there, and the same thing backwards. So that establishes a tunnel, that's what we call it. Since the whole thing happens under the SSH encryption, it will be equally unreadable as pretty much any encoded traffic on the internet. Here it is, the -L command, but it's under SSH, so oftentimes we don't even get a shell on the other side, the server machine. We just need to forward certain ports, yeah? And we can just go ahead and go look for ports and remote sockets. We don't necessarily have to specify that. And given the fact that our system here, our Linux on the source, the client machine, is using X Windows system, and the same thing is happening with the server, preferably. Therefore, we are capable of using XForwarding. Yeah, here it is. It has its own special switch. You don't need to forward a port for that. You just need to specify -X. That means whatever happens on the server side will happen instead on the client side. Yeah, and what that means in practice is that we will have our programs executed on the server but happen on the client. Let me show you how that works, okay? Let me repeat the same thing. This server actually does run X, so I should be fine here. Okay, so X forwarding request failed on channel 0, so that immediately failed. That's perfectly fine. What I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna use my other computer that I'm watching the stream on, and that is called Acer Nitro 5.local. In case you are not familiar with the .local domain system, in Linux and I think also in Mac OS, you have every computer registered on this local network with its host name. So this machine here is my XPS 13, so it's called my name and XPS 13.local, and it will resolve just fine, okay? So you can use this trick. And now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna use my full account here, and I'm gonna SSH to the other computer, and I'm gonna take, with -X, I'm gonna take my X connection with me. Excellent. Okay, brilliant. So now, even though, well, it looks pretty much the same because it's the same Kubuntu 20.04, but the point is this is the other computer. So you are seeing this computer, but the code get executed on that computer. And now I'm just gonna fire up a calculator program, and nothing happens. Why is this? Aha, here it is. Excellent. You see that it's visibly much slower than if I just go ahead, come here, and fire up a calculator, boom, almost immediately. And by the way, it's not the same because mine is set differently, right? So you can see that this calculator is actually running on the other computer. It even has this label on its title, the window title says that it is on the other computer, right? When is this useful? Very obviously, if the other server doesn't have its own display because it's what we call a headless system, no display, no keyboard, because it's a server, for example, or maybe it's an embedded one like Raspberry Pi, then you could still run all your softwares to your liking with XForwarding, okay? It has one big drawback, and the big drawback is that it only works between two computers running X Windows system, which is typically Linux. I'm not aware of any other operating system using the X Windows system as a standard way of window managing, yeah? So that's kind of the drawback that you have to live with, but if you're connecting to Linux machines, perfect solution. There is another solution that is less platform dependent, and it is called VNC. I am not 100% sure what the abbreviation stands for. It's virtual network computing, yeah. Well, the name is kind of a little bit misleading, but it's fine. Anyways, VNC does RFB, the remote frame buffer protocol, to have the exact same effect as basically the XForwarding did, with the only difference that it is available also for Windows, also for Mac, and also for Linux. Both client and server are available, and there are multiple implementations. VNC is an old stuff, like really old stuff. I just closed the window and don't ask me why. It's not fair to ask any of those questions, but I think it dates back to the UK. You can see by the name Olivetti and Oracle Research Lab, like Olivetti is out of business for, I don't know, 2002. Yeah, thanks. So it's way before that. I can't find the date here, but like VNC is very old. I think it dates way back in the 90s. But anyways, the point is, in order to have VNC successfully connect, you need a server and a client. And here's the thing, both of them, the server actually needs a screen number. So all screens are numbered. They start from 0. And the importance of that, you can have multiple VNC servers listening on the same computer, and each of them will create its own desktop. This is very important to observe, okay? The point is, I'm starting VNC server on port number 1 right now, and I might not have a VNC server installed. Let me use tight VNC server, yeah? Also, I might not have that installed, but of course, when you are on Linux, that's not a problem. All you need to do is install it. Tight, that was German, VNC server. Yeah, there you go. Just installing it real quick, and then I'm gonna have this. So the really important part you need to remember is, while SSH-X was just referring to newly opened pieces of software, programs, VNC server only creates a new desktop. It is not sharing your current desktop, okay? It is creating a new one. So let me do that now. Tight VNC server. Okay, I will just use the same password as I always do, because why not? View only password, no thank you. Okay, brilliant. And now you can see that I have a new X desktop running here. Okay, I have no idea what this is, but it's probably, hopefully not relevant. And so what I have to do here is open a new terminal, and see tight VNC client. And then, of course, it will ask for my password, and ta-da, here I go with a completely empty desktop. Because, like I said, it is not sharing my existing desktop, it is giving me a completely empty one. Worse than that, the completely empty one is not running any window manager either, because I have not set up my VNC server properly. It's a completely empty X window. And you can see that there is a very minimal delay in my mouse moving on the client machine and the server's mouse moving on the server screen. The less network bandwidth you have between the client and the server, the greater this lag will be, obviously, yeah? And typically my recommendation is whenever you need to use VNC over networks, especially like if you have a server on the internet and you're using it from home, use some lightweight window manager. My preferable choice that I have used successfully before is called XFCE. It's very lightweight but full-featured. So the difference between XFCE and, let's say, KDE is the amount and quantity of utilities available, not the ease of use or the experience that the user has. So that is one suggestion. I'm not gonna go any deeper into VNC than that because it's kind of a bit outdated, but yeah, in case you need to use it, this is the way to start. For a long time, one of the most preferred solutions for accessing actual remote desktops, so you seeing the same desktop as the user does, it was TeamViewer. Nowadays, recently, I feel like TeamViewer is not as popular, and the other one is that took over kind of its place is AnyDesk. So AnyDesk is absolutely available for Linux as well. You can go ahead and just install it from, I don't know how, but we'll find out in a second. Oh, I think you need to install it from a, yeah, here we go. It is available for a plethora of platforms, which I love. So you can actually use your Linux computer from your phone. So you can go ahead, whether you have an Android or an Apple phone, you can just go ahead and use all the things you like. If you are using any Debian, Ubuntu, or Mint, or any other Deb-based package, you just go ahead and download that. It asks for your email address, but the download actually happens without you specifying any personal information, which I highly appreciate because I really don't want to download. Thank you. And then, of course, you install it with dpkg. Yep, there you go. And then it says the installation failed. Yeah, here you go. So with this command, fix broken, you can actually install all the missing packages. The difference between APT and DPKG is exactly that. DPKG is like very narrow-minded. It only installs whatever you had right in front of you. APT knows about package dependencies. So now I should be able to fire up AnyDesk, which I absolutely am. I will close this system, and here you can see your own remote desktop ID. Obviously, by the time you're looking at this video, it's not valid at all. I'm gonna use the other computer to test this one out, and I'm just gonna enter the code for that. So you can't just go ahead, oh look, it knows because they're on the same network, brilliant. And I should be getting a window that says, which I am getting, do you accept this session? And I will say accept the session, and ta-da, here we are. You can see that this is the reason for the existence of the other computer. I can see Twitch chat on that one, and this is what I'm using it for. And this is like a normal window. You can do whatever you like with it, which is really comfortable and convenient. Yeah, this is often used by bank fraud, unfortunately, fraudsters who get control over your desktop just by using AnyDesk and making you install it. It's especially for elder people, but yeah, any tools can be used for wrong and right. It doesn't make any difference for the tool itself. So yes, you have to be mindful. What I do whenever I'm not using AnyDesk, so just so you know, now that I installed AnyDesk, it's here, it's running, and I don't like it. So whenever I am not intending to use it, I always quit AnyDesk, and that way I feel more safe. It is safe. I have not ever heard anybody being connected to AnyDesk without the permission window coming up. Nonetheless, it feels better for me. Okay, the next solution that I'm gonna show you is also completely based on Linux and does not work with anything else. But it has some very significant advantages. It is called X2Go. So there is one big drawback of VNC server, which is the resolution. When you start a VNC server, you have to precisely specify what resolution you want to run it with. and you cannot resize it no matter what. You can resize your client window, but that will not make the server adapt to it. Instead, you will just get scroll bars. Now I need X2Go client here, which I think is already installed because I was using this. This was my day-to-day to-go solution for the longest period of time. And now I'm going to create a new session in it because this is my old session. And this will be Acer Acer Nitro 5 local, yeah. The server is called Acer Nitro 5.local. I have to do an SSH login here, so I have to use my username and password. And here is the big thing. What this does is starts SSHs into the remote server and starts whatever session you like. Now in local, I am very happy to use KDE. Remotely, again, I would highly suggest something more lightweight. But here the connection is LAN, so I'm going to put it all over to LAN. It doesn't do much really, it just changes the requirements. And here is the thing, you can set it to use whole display. And the one thing I always did was turn off set display DPI and leave this at custom, that's fine. Bidirectional clipboard, so copy paste works both ways. Keyboard settings are copied over. You can move over sound and printing as well, that I find amazing, but I'm not gonna do this right now. And you can even share folders between the two computers without doing anything special. It just gets mounted when the SSH connection is established. Like really, X2Go is amazing. So in order to make this happen, I'm gonna install the lightweight X, well, yes, that's certainly a number of packages. This is the lightweight desktop environment that I'm gonna install because that's what I actually used for years. Default is, yes, the one that comes with KDE. I don't want to change that. So my computer will not behave differently just because I installed another window manager. The only difference will be is that if I want to, I can switch from KDE to LXDE on my computer. Not going to happen anytime soon because I love KDE. I think it's amazing, but it's an option for sure. So what I ended up doing is setting up a different window manager environment and a different user on my computer just so that I can show you that it works and what the great advantage of it actually is. It just takes a little while it's installed, but it's fine, yeah. Given the fact that we have installed an entire window manager with applications and default menu, all that kind of stuff, not a bad time, I guess. A couple seconds is fine. Let's see now, fingers crossed for us. Let's see if this works this time. No. And now we have this this error which we already had, and it resolved itself just by trying again. Let's see if trying again makes its magic this time as well. I really don't know how we can have, oh yes it did. Oh, there we go. Brilliant, amazing. System policy prevents Wi-Fi scans. I really don't care. And watch this. Watch the taskbar. And as I am pulling the window, the taskbar resizes. That's the great power of X2Go compared to all the other solutions, is that as I resize, it's not only my client window resizing, the server's resolution changes as well. And here I have all the applications that come with both KDE and LXDE, so I can just go ahead and use whatever I like. This, I tell you, is the most powerful solution that I have ever used on Linux for remote desktop accessing, and it's called X2Go. Again, it has the same property as VNC does. It is not sharing your existing desktop, it is opening a new one, a new session for you. Nevertheless, I think this is amazing. If you ever in need of a solution between two Linux machines, I highly suggest this. This also works only between two Linux machines because it uses the X window system. So yeah, that's a fair disadvantage. There is one more solution that I have used in the past and is really amazing, and that is called Apache Guacamole. What it is a browser-based remote desktop solution. So what it does is removes the need to install any client, any software on your computer. All you need to do is have a web server, which can be Apache, can be Nginx, whatever you want it could be, and then you would go ahead, install another remote server solution like VNC, like RDP, whatever makes your goat float. I actually used VNC, and what it is an HTML5 based VNC client. So you use your browser to log in, and it takes that login and uses a VNC client to log on to the VNC server, and by that displaying the whole VNC desktop in the browser. It is absolutely fascinating. Not sure what this video is about, but I think I don't care either. So yeah, installing it is not a very simple thing. Let me ask my friend ChatGPT on how to do that. I am not gonna do this right now for sure. It takes way more time than that. How to install Apache Guacamole on Debian Bookworm, which is the latest version of Debian at the time of recording of this video. The thing is, it is not a very easy thing to do because this is a web application that runs, I think it's written in Java. And so what you need is, you would need the entire tool set or tool chain to run a Java application. You can immediately see that the sheer number of dependencies kind of gives you an idea of the scale. And then, yeah, you should configure and install it. It's not like something you just download and run. You need to install it in each and every time. And then there is the client itself, which is a Java web application, and you need Tomcat to run it, which is kind of dated to my ears. I haven't used Tomcat in a long while, but you get the idea. And then you need to create the configuration file, map the actual server that you have there, the host name and the port, use for the SSH one, and then you can go ahead and open your browser and see if it works. Not an easy thing, something that we're absolutely not gonna cover in this tutorial. If you have an absolute necessity to learn about installing Apache Guacamole, I'm glad to make a separate video on it. It takes about half an hour to set everything up. Just let me know in the comments, and I'm very glad to do that as well. So everybody on YouTube, thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.